Okay. So, yeah. So 3.40. Indriyani mano buddhir asya adhishtanam uchyate etir vimuhaitai esha jnanam avrita dehina. The senses, the mind, the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, the lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Okay, so now where this lust is in our body? It is in the senses, this is in the mind, it is in the intelligence. And when we know where is our enemy, we can attack it and neutralize it, right? When
Yes.
yeah, when in the army people, when they don't know where the enemy is, they or let's say when they attack first they need to find from where the bullets are coming, right? Because bullets are invisible things, right? So first they have to look from where the bullets are coming, and then they start attacking. So similarly, the lust enemy is in the senses, in the mind, and in the intelligence. Now we'll see how to overcome this in the three places, and then slowly, gradually come out of it. Okay. The enemy has captured different strategic position in the body of the conditioned soul, and therefore Lord Krishna is giving hints of those places, so that one who wants to conquer the enemies may know where he can be found. Mind is the center of all activities of the senses, and thus when we hear about sense objects, the mind generally becomes reservoir of all ideas of sense gratification, and as a result, the mind and the senses become repository of the lust. So mind, what it does is it stores all the enjoyment, like it stores all the impressions, right? Like suppose sometime you may eat something, and after like 5 years you may eat that thing, and the moment you eat the same thing, you will be able to remember the taste that you had tasted this 5 years back, right? This has happened, right? So why? Because the mind makes you remember that particular taste. So it is a reservoir of all that, of all ideas, sense gratification, everything. Then the intelligence department becomes the capital of such lustful propensities. So because our mind will remember, make us remember, that thing is sweet, or that thing is sour, or that thing is, like this, there is some enjoyment. Then it will poke the intelligence and it will say, intelligent, intelligence, here, go get that thing. So intelligence is the capital where all the decisions are taking place. So intelligence is the immediate next door neighbor of the spirit soul. Lusty intelligence influences the spirit soul to acquire the false ego and identity itself with the matter, and thus with the mind and senses. So, what is this process? We will easily understand through a picture. Okay. Now, here, let's get some sense object. Sense object, you know, let's get a picture of gulab jamun. Now, here what happens is the eyes they see. Okay. Here, the eyes they see the gulab jamun. Now immediately mind remembers the gulab jamun is sweet. So what does the mind do? The intelligence. The mind is gathering this information, right, from the senses, eyes, nose, ears, touch, right, and then it sees the gulab jamun. It gives that information to the intelligence. The intelligence then gives it to the soul, saying that this is gulab jamun and it is very sweet. Let's taste it. Then what does the soul will do? According to this picture, what it will do?
It will make us have it. We'll feel
The
tempted.
soul is the driver, so it will drive this machine, this human body, and what it will do is it will direct the legs. It will walk. walk towards the gulab jamun shop, and then it will tell the hands, go in the pocket and pull out the money, and then it will give that money and take the gulab jamun, and then use the same hand, put it in the mouth. The mouth tastes it, and it gives the mind and the sense and the intelligence the information. Oh yes, yes, this is still sweet. And then the soul thinks, ah, I got something. It's like a video game. In a video game, if somebody wins, then the player becomes so happy, right? I won, I won. But in reality, did the player win? Did he get anything tangible? Did he get anything tangible?
No, no. He just got that sense of achievement.
Yeah, all that sense of achievement is inside the, what to say, the laptop or the computer, right? It's in the software. But it will flash, it will keep flashing, you are the winner, you are the winner, you are the winner, and that itself will give us some happiness to the soul, right? So this is how the mechanism is working. The soul
Yes,
never
yes.
touch it, never tastes the sweetness of the gulab jamun. It is only it is only told that it is sweet by the body. Just like a good video game will keep saying, you're the winner, you're the winner, you're the winner. You got 100 points, you got 1000 points, you got 10,000 points. Is it tangible? No, there's nothing tangible. The moment we close the laptop, it is all done. You don't get anything in your hand and you can show to the world nothing, right? So this is the thing with happening was in this world. In reality, the soul is never tasting all these material things. It is just been told that it is sweet by the body. Like that it is. Do you understand this mechanism? This mechanism is very important. Do you understand?
Yes,
Any
yes,
question on
yes.
this?
No, no, I get it. I get it. I
Yeah.
understand.
So this example will keep coming where Krishna will tell that the soul is, his soul has nothing to do with this matter. When he tells, the soul has nothing to do, this is what it means. In reality, it is just like a video game where we are playing that video game, in that we are getting points, in that we are having success or failure or whatever. In reality, nothing is happening. It is just inside that laptop. And when the laptop crashes or the power goes off or we turn off, then that is history. Nothing. We have to just move on. We move on to some another slot machine or another laptop and all that. So this is what is happening with the soul. It is just moving from one body to another, from one laptop to another to play different games. So when we understand this is the reality, then we become detached. The spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistakes that as true happiness. In other words, a video game player thinks that he's winning, and he thinks that that is happiness. So there is a false identification of the spirit soul. So there's a false identification of that video game player, right? It is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:83, 84, 30. A human being who identifies his body made of three elements with his self, who considers the byproduct of the body to be his kinsman, who considers the land of birth worshipable, and goes to the place of pilgrimage simply to take bath, rather than meet people of transcendent knowledge, there is to be considered an ass or a cow. So it is just animalistic. It is not very human. A human being has to understand that he is not the body, he is the soul, and this is the mechanism that is happening with him. The gulab jamun and how he's tasting. Is he really tasting it? No. But the body is telling you tasted it, you tasted it. Okay. So this is the spiritual philosophy. Okay, let's move. Tasmat tvam indriyani ado niyama bharata rashabah papanam prajahi enam jnanva vijnanam nashanam. Therefore, Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self realization. So, what is the first thing? Where is the first? Where is the enemy? Enemy is three places, na? the enemy. What is the name of the enemy? Lust. Where it is places, which places it in? First is senses,
Senses, intelligence,
second
and
is mind,
mind.
third is intelligence. And now we will see how to counteract at these places. Just like today the enemy can be on the ground, can be in the air, can be in the water, or it can be in one more place. Where it is? Have you heard about cyber warfare?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah. So the enemy is not in front, but it is in the software, apps, and all that. So now you have to deal it differently. Similarly, in senses, what is the first thing Krishna is recommending here? Ah, what is saying? Regulating the senses. So senses, what we have to do? Regulate it, not repression. Is it repressing? No, it is just regulating it. And neither, sorry, neither unrestricted access to sense objects. So there is some restriction. That's it. It's not total restriction, and neither it is unrestriction. It is in between. Regulate. Now, what is for the mind? What is for the mind? What do you think is for the mind?
Good knowledge, like we can have a control on what we consume.
Okay, 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 okay. So for the mind, it is the mantra, and for the intelligence, it is the knowledge. See, the food for intelligence is knowledge, because intelligence, what it does is decision making. So for decision making, we need knowledge, right? I need to know.
Yes,
I
yes.
need to know all possibilities. I need to know this and that, and then I can make a good decision. So that is what is knowledge. So knowledge makes helps in making good decision. For mind, it is mantra. So mind is what? Impression. So mantra is nothing but the holy name. The holy name is getting impressed on the mind again and again. So the holy name is spiritual. So the mind is becoming pure by that. So like that it is. So regulate the mind, chant the mantra, read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. This is the way we will control lust. Getting? How come the above three things they get mapped to controlling the lust?
Yes, yes.
Hmm. And that's why if you want to achieve all of the three, we have to simply visit temple, visit Radha Krishna temple, ISKCON temple, and then all of this will be easily done. Okay. So yeah, so Krishna is going to advise that. So first, the Lord advises to regulate the senses from the very beginning, so that he could curb the greatest and sinful lust, which destroys the urge for self-realization and specific knowledge of the self. Jnana refers to knowledge of the self as distinguished from self, non-self. So jnana means knowledge. Knowledge, which knowledge? Bhagavad Gita knowledge. What is the Bhagavad Gita knowledge? I am not the body, but I am the soul. And then so many chapters, right? And Bhagavatam, stories of Krishna. So these two things are very powerful. Oh, it's in the same one. Sorry. And Vijnana refers to specific knowledge of the spirit soul, constitutional position, and his relationship to the Supreme Lord. It will be explained in thus to Srimad Bhagavatam 2:9-13. The knowledge of the self and the supreme self is very confidential and mysterious. But such knowledge and specific realization can be understood if explained with various aspects by the Lord Himself. Bhagavad Gita gives us general and specific knowledge of the self. The living entities are parts and parcel of Krishna, and therefore they are simply meant to serve the Lord. This consciousness is called Krishna consciousness. So, from the very beginning of life, one has to learn this Krishna consciousness, and thereby one may become fully Krishna conscious and act accordingly. And then this paragraph: lust is only perverted reflection of the love of God. So, what is lust? Lust is a perverted reflection of love of God, meaning it's a reflection, it is not the real thing. So, in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives a very nice example what it means. What do you see here? Do you see two trees or you see one tree?
There is a single tree, but we can see its reflections.
Yeah,
We are able to see two.
yes. So, in this material world, we see the reflection of the real spiritual world. So there is a Vaikuntha planet, there is spiritual world. Its reflection is this material world, and we are living in this material world. So we are experiencing all the different kinds of relationship that Krishna is already having in the spiritual world. But in our case, it is with duality. Duality means there is happiness and distress gives us real distress. Whereas distress in the spiritual world also gives happiness because it is absolute nature. Okay, where were we? Yeah. So so lust is reflection. So love is in the spiritual world, its reflection is in the material world, that is lust. We see here, right, so many love stories, they end up in fighting with each other. Huh? You are from college, right? You must have seen this many
Hmm,
times.
hmm, hmm, hmm.
Why? But in Krishna's case it doesn't happen like that. Why? Because it is spiritual and here it is material. Material means two things we have to experience: happiness and distress. And distress will be really painful, whereas the distress in the spiritual world is also happiness. So that is the secret. So when um, when we read this, right, that it's very mysterious and confidential, this knowledge is very mysterious and confidential, it means that it is it is difficult to understand. The reason is there is a spiritual world where we have to reach, and there happiness and distress both gives happiness, while here distress gives us pain. And we cannot experience that pain. Can pain give us happiness here? No, right? We don't have that experience. So it is kind of mysterious to understand these things. So in the 15th chapter, Krishna talks about this thing, that it's an inverted reflection of the real world. And through the Vedas, we are just jumping from one tree to another, branch, just trying to enjoy material enjoyment, and then we are getting frustrated. So anyway, Krishna still gives a solution. First, he says regulate. Then he says mantra. Then he says associate with devotees. And with that, we elevate ourselves. Okay. So Bhagavad Gita gives us general and specific. Hmm. Now, the living entities are part and parcel of God, of Lord, and therefore they are simply meant to serve. Okay, we read this. Okay. So lust is a prophetic reflection of love. So it's a reflection. It is not real thing. So that's why in this world, so-called love between boy and girl, right? It is only for the initial years. After that, it just dies off, or it reduces, and then we see the same boy and girl fighting. And sometimes that fighting is so bitter that it was love at first sight and divorce at first fight.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
So yeah, so such thing can happen. So what is the solution? What is the solution? I talked about this so-called love between boy and girl. What is the solution? Yes, the solution is to regulate. And how to regulate this so-called attraction between man and woman? What do you think? Huh?
Um,
How to regulate that? How to regulate this so-called
don't you think
boy?
that comes with experience, and like as we grow up at that, the regulation in this
No,
part?
no, no, no. It doesn't come with experience. With experience, what happens is it can be a bad experience or a good experience. It may turn out to be like that. But then we have to give. So the way to regulate this. See, there is attraction between boy and girl. There is no doubt. Okay,
Hmm.
because
Yes.
Krishna says sex is the entanglement, right? So there is attraction with boy and girl. So now what? How to regulate it? We discussed this, right? How to regulate it? We read this, Garbhadan Sanskar and mating. How to regulate this then? Within marriage. That is the answer. What happens within marriage? You are legally bound with that person. You are ethically bound with that person. You're morally bound with that person. So now you raise your consciousness from just external attraction to something duty. You're dutiful to the other person. And then that marriage can continue. Getting?
But don't you think this journey starts before marriage?
So, yeah, so good question you have asked. And the answer to that is it depends on the attitude of the person. And how our attitudes are decided by three modes of material nature, which is 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is called goodness, passion, and ignorance. So, if there is goodness in a relationship, then there is happiness. But if there is passion in that relationship, then it is misery. It is activeness there, but there is misery. There is born of lust and hankering, too much hankering, fruitive work is there, and one gets basically misery out of it. Misery. And if it is the ignorance, then it is foolishness, madness, and nonsense. Okay, so it depends on the three modes. Which mode is in that relationship? Like I will, like we see three types of relationship in this world between man and woman. One is goodness relationship where they are committed to each other with affection and duty. Second is just passion. She is beautiful, he's rich, and this and that. So then the marriage is about to be failed only because it started with something which is not good. It started with something external. And ignorance is madness. Madness where the attraction is like, okay, I just want to use that person. Getting? So these three modes, right? They will decide what is the result of that relationship. So when you say it will start, but we have to identify with what it started. What is the intention of this relationship? Is the intention just external or it is really deep affection? And then we can say, okay, this relationship will continue or it will fail. Does that help in understanding?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, it does.
See, even take in case of friends. If the friendship is just that, I need a ride from this place to that place. That's it. Then do you think that friendship will continue?
No, definitely.
Yeah. So that is friendship in mode of passion, where it is only for a fruitive reason, only for a certain, selfish reason. But let's say if friendship is okay, we'll talk about ignorance. Well, how is a friendship ignorance? It is foolishness. Where friendship between thieves, and they will say, okay, after this thievery, we will divide this equally among ourselves. Do you think it will happen? It rarely happens.
I doubt it rarely happens. Yeah.
Yeah, it rarely happens. So now friendship in goodness, how it will be? It will be it won't be like, okay, this person is rich only, therefore I am friend with him. No, it will be beyond that, right? So good friendships, they are beyond it. They're beyond this rich poor definition. They're beyond some advantage or some ulterior motives within ourselves, right? So
Correct,
it, yeah,
correct.
so it depends on that. What is the motive behind this? See, every activity that we do, right? What is the motive behind it? Is it full knowledge? Is it pure? Or is it greed? Or is it just,
Selfish. Yeah.
yeah, is it selfish or selfless? That decides whether the result of that relationship, whether the result of our work, is going to go. So it's good that you asked. It starts from beginning, but With what intention? If the intention is like, I just want to enjoy the other person, or just spend time, then the affection is very bodily, it is very external. So there has to be some internal substance to it. You're getting this, right?
Yes, I do get it. I do.
Yeah, yeah, like I will tell you, your mother cooks food for you, and you can buy that same food in the hotel also. Say you may like, naan, or let's say paneer makhani, whatever. You can get that in hotel, you can get that by cooked by your mother. What do you think is the difference between the two? Apart from paying money, what is the difference?
Mother doesn't expect
Okay,
like
mother doesn't
it's
expectation.
selfless. It's
And what is the
selfless.
expectation at the hotel? You have to pay money for it.
Pay. Yes.
And mother's motive is what? Mother's motive is love. It is to
Just to
nourish
give.
the body. Is to love. It's an act of affection. And what is the act in the hotel? Whether you eat it or you don't
Service,
eat it,
yeah.
you throw it. I don't care. You have to pay for it, isn't it?
True. Yes.
Are they worried
It's
that if you have to eat it, you have to finish it? No. They just said once it comes into your plate, it is billed. That's it. We don't care whether you eat it or not. खाना है तो खाओ नहीं तो जाओ पैसा भरो. Right, this is what they will say, right? Will the mother say like
yes,
this?
exactly.
Will the mother say
No,
like that?
never.
No, right? So it depends on the consciousness, it depends on the purpose behind the whole thing. And that purpose is decided by these three modes: sattvas, rajas, and tamas. And everyone has varying degrees of these three modes in us, and they will always influence us. So when we take to spiritual life, right, we increase sattvas, we increase goodness, and we reduce passion and ignorance. We move from ignorance to passion, from passion to goodness, and then we can express happiness, fulfillment. Okay.
How do we identify then the other person is also in the same journey that
Yeah,
that we
yeah, see,
I'm
there
asking it
are
on in a in a relationship, like in a romantic relationship thing, like
yeah,
in a
yeah,
part,
yeah,
like how to enter.
yeah, see, uh, okay, we will,
I think this I'm asking because as I asked earlier that this happens with experience.
no, the
So
experience is one
these
thing.
two.
Experience is one thing, but there are always these, what to say, indications.
True, true,
You're
true.
getting,
So
so by
basically,
the
what I was trying to
indication,
ask is,
by indications, we can understand where is the relationship. This is a good question you have asked, because yesterday only when I was in the train, I saw that this boy and girl, they were walking, and suddenly the boy was started shouting at the girl, and he became very physical with the girl.
oh,
Yeah. So now you can see that there is anger in that relationship, and it will end up in abuse, right?
correct, correct,
So
correct.
now, if we see some indications, then we have to decide whether to continue or not.
Hmm.
Okay.
But but till then, that they both have invested a lot in that, right? I mean, don't you think
Investment
that
is fine. See, investment is fine, but if the stock is going down, will you remove the investment or will you keep the investment?
definitely
You'll
remove it?
remove,
Like,
right?
won't
So
continue it? Yeah.
you will discontinue it. So same way we have to evaluate it. What are the
Hmm.
principles of the relationship? Is it truthful, or is it for some gain? Is it having a good foundation of affection, where the external is not seen, but the friendship is seen as something sacred. This is very important in a relationship. This relationship is seen as very sacred. It is not seen cheap. You're getting? Yeah,
I
and
get
there
it.
is no
Like,
violence or hatred. There is true
yeah,
affection.
yeah.
There is nothing like
It's
show off.
pure.
It's not a show off of balloons or flowers, or some chocolates or something. No, there is real there is real concern for the other person. You're getting? There is
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice for the other person, and both are
It's
doing it.
genuine.
And yeah, and there is forgiveness also. See, sometimes there is dissatisfaction, sometimes there is some argument, but there is forgiveness also, and there is a tendency to move on, to forgive each other, and then okay, forget and forgive and forget. That tendency is there. So this all decides the relationship, where in which direction it is going to go. So there are indications. See, quarrel is there, but quarrel can happen in mode of goodness, mode of ignorance, and mode of passion. But in when it happens in goodness, right, the way it happens is there is forgiveness in it, because there is mercy in it. But in passion, what it happens is misery. There'll be,
True, true.
yeah, there'll be anger and all that. And in madness,
Anger, yes, yes.
what will happen? In a madness, if a quarrel is done, what happens? There will be physical harm. There will be
Physical,
abuse. The other person may kill also for a small thing, right? That's
yes.
why we see, in some relationships, like if you read news, then you will see the boy just killed the girl, right? And they were so-called
Mm-hmm.
lovers. So that is madness. So it was motivated by ignorance. So it ended up like that. There is depression, there's delusion, there's rashness. So like that. So we have to see the indications of the relationship, and then we understand where this relationship is going. Does this
Yes,
help?
yes. Now I understand. Yes, yeah, it does, it does.
Yeah. So these three modes actually, are very good in understanding where we are and what we are, like that. Like I was talking about food. Food are in three modes: juicy, pleasing to heart. But in passion, it is bitter, sour, hot, pungent. It causes distress, misery. Not too much of mirchi, and then body is burning, but still people eat. And then in mode of ignorance, it is decomposed, untouchable, old, tasteless. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So like that, every activity can be divided in the three modes, and we can understand what will be the result. Will it be good, misery, or madness? That's it. Every activity, everything can be divided in these three modes. So if you want to read further, you read the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Hmm?
Okay, okay.
Okay.
So this chart, it's there.
I, I will,
This
I
is
will,
given the
yeah,
footnote.
I'll share this chart. I'll share
Okay,
this chart in the group.
yeah.
Okay. So we will stop here. Hmm? Any question or comment?
Um, so I have this question. So
Hmm.
when we were talking about, when I asked the question of regulating, like, how can the experiences, how can we achieve everything in balance? So uh, uh, be it food, then extra, like, so basically achieving everything, the where I asked the doubt
Sure,
for time
sure.
management.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. So for knowledge, for this, how do you find a balance? Because you know
Yeah. Okay.
because at times we get the tendency that we need to learn this. So this is not we, this is how I what I experience, that I need to read this as well, like, I need to watch this as well, but I'm not able to remember anything, or I
Oh, okay,
realize that
okay.
I'm just consuming it, but I'm not putting it in action, so I'm not able to regulate that. And I
See,
don't know if it's because
yeah.
you seem to remember, and you seem to practice everything, like, what you have read or what you have studied uh, in
Okay,
this.
okay, okay.
So how do you regulate that?
See, first thing is it's a gradual process. Okay, it's a gradual process. It's going to take some time. Like I said, it is 16 rounds, minimum 16 rounds. But we have to start with one round, and we have to practice it over a period of time. And second thing is very important is the association. In association, we can grow very fast. Alone, we cannot. And sometimes in our life, we may be alone because of our various circumstances. But that period ends, and then after that we should seek association. So how to get that balance is, we have to start slowly and gradually. You getting?
But again, if I talk particularly about knowledge,
Oh yeah, knowledge,
anything
right?
like, yeah, be it spiritual knowledge, or be it like a
Okay,
philosophical
okay,
knowledge, anything.
yeah.
So
If I, yeah, I will explain about this knowledge.
so for me, what happened is, it was just I was just reading and watching and watching and watching, because a lot of videos and
Sure.
documentaries available on YouTube or on the internet, I should say. So there came a time where I just kept it consuming, but I realized that it's getting toxic, because I am just feeling satisfied and content watching it. I'm not putting it in action. And so if
Yes.
I feel that if I don't read this book, maybe I won't be able to achieve what he did. If
Yes.
I don't watch this video,
Yeah. So
yeah.
knowledge has two part. One is theory and one is practice. Getting? You
Hmm.
there?
Yes.
Yeah. So one is theory and one is practice. So this I brought this. What is this? This is called a spiral, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So spiral means you start at one point, you go around, and you're probably coming at the same point. But then you keep going like this. So when we are reading, right, we are supposed to read the same time again and again and again and again. And what it does it with the next reading is that it goes deeper into us. It registers into our mind, into our memory, in our heart, as we read that same thing again and again. Okay, so multiple times reading is very very important, of spiritual books, of even in material books also. The multiple times we do, the best it is. Minimum three times is what is expected actually. Okay, so this is one thing. This is registering in our mind, and second thing is practicing. Now, like I told you, when we chant, we will get spiritual energy. Why I mentioned spiritual energy is because we need an energy within to continue, and to get rid of the shackles, right? We want to advance, we want to grow, but something is stopping us, so we need that energy. Where we'll get that energy? So spiritual energy will get by chanting the holy name. So when we chant the holy name, we start getting that energy, spiritual energy, and that triggers us into regulatory principles. It triggers us back into the spiral. It strengthens our spiral again. Okay, spiral helps us to go back to chanting. Chanting helps us go back to spiral. You getting?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. So that's how it works. So remember the
So,
spiral thing when we are talking about knowledge. And when we talk about practice, the best practice is chanting the holy name. Hare
for
Rama,
spiral
Hare Rama.
thing,
Sorry?
for the spiral thing,
Hmm.
why do even you must have come across this, that all the smart and intelligent people, they read a lot, like we see a lot we read this so and so number of books in a year, we read 100 books in a year,
Hmm,
one
hmm,
book a
hmm.
week. And second, uh, I just forgot my second doubt. Yeah, for sure. Like so first doubt is that we get to know that they read a lot. साल में इतने books पढ़ लिया. And if you just search on Google or just YouTube, you will see this from a lot of well renowned people, that the number of books we read in a year. So
Hmm.
and second doubt is, if we read, if suppose if we read or study the same thing, right, it will take time, right? So how do you deal with the fear of missing out, that that because this is
Oh,
what
the fear of
I
missing out, right? So
yeah.
one thing is there, when we were babies, we saw people running around, right? We saw,
Hmm.
other grown-ups running around. And the baby also feels like I need to also run. Okay.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
the baby has to first crawl, then it has to stand on its leg, and then walk few steps, and then from few steps to walking funnily, They talk, generally babies sometimes they walk so funny, right? Then after becoming a toddler they start walking properly, then they have to fall sometime. Then after that, when they are like 8 9 years old, then they are walking and talking properly. So there's a process to everything. It's a process, it's a journey. Always remember that it's a process, a journey, and we have to start from where we are. If we are a baby, then we are a baby. You're getting? If you are a baby, then we are a baby. You cannot expect us, baby to do surgery. The doctor has to go to 4 years of training. So if we are a baby, then we are a baby. Then we have to start with whatever small baby steps we can do, and then go over. And then missing out. Actually, this missing out doesn't happen if we don't try. Sorry, if we
If you
try,
try,
if we
if
keep
you,
trying,
yeah, if you
yeah, if
act.
we keep trying, then this we won't miss out. It may just get delayed, but it will never get missed out. You understanding? Yeah. So keep that in
Yeah, it
mind.
will get delayed. Yes, yes.
Yeah, it just will get delayed. That's it.
Yeah.
But that delay is like something, the baby doesn't feel that delay once it start running, right? Once we started running, did we feel, oh, when I took birth and now I'm 8 years old, I lost that time? No. Similarly, same thing happens when we get success in our life over a period of time. We don't think, okay, that period was like waste. No, we say we were just preparing in that period. We were just going through it. So like that it is.
Yes, yes. I get it.
Okay.
I get it now.
So start
Yes.
small and consistently do it over a period of time. If we associate more with devotees, we will increase.
Correct, correct, correct. Yeah, this
Yeah,
is the reason I asked the question before as well about how do you find a balance, and
yeah,
because I wasn't able to, I just kept on consuming and consuming, and at a point it felt very regretful and guilty that I'm just watching it, but I'm not able to put it in action, and the fear of missing out as well that if I don't read this book, I won't become successful like him. If I don't watch it, maybe I won't get the solution to this problem or that problem. So,
sure, sure. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, there has to be some practice, and according to our pleasant time, slowly, slowly. Okay.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, right now you may be busy with other things, but one day that busyness will end, and we'll have time. So that time we should visit
Yeah.
temple, and we should associate with devotees, and
True, true.
in that process we will increase our spiritual life.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
So any more question?
No, no, no.